Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. So there's a few things that I've been up to in between episodes, but first of all we are going to go down here and have a look at the diamond armour that I enchanted in the previous episode. So I hadn't too much of an idea as to how protection enchantments worked, but people in the comments have informed me that there's a cap as to how much protection you can get. And each of these have a point value that goes towards the cap. So the cap is 25 and protection 3 would give you 9 points and protection 4 11. Don't quote me on that though, I'm just going by what I remember, so I could be wrong. But the boots and the helmet alone give us 22 points, and then these other items bring us well up to or over 25. So that itself gives us the most protection we can get. Now I'm not sure if having projectile protection as well as that one would give us extra protection from that, or if that's just the most we can get overall anyway. So there's a little more research to be done on that. But what I've been doing in between episodes is doing some caving, trying to get the mob spawners efficiency up, and I kind of gave in. I wanted to do as much caving as I could without using a X-ray machine, but it got to the point where I'd sort of explored everything I could, and I didn't know where to look next, so I decided to make an X-ray machine. I'm going to be using that to help me light up the rest of the caving systems from this point on. So I made one over the other side of the island, and that helped me light up a couple of things over there, and now I've made one over on this side as well, so it's just over here, and I've been using it to have a look around. It's quite interesting to see what everything looks like as well. So just hop down here and then press that, and you can see where I've been branch mining. It goes off into the distance, and you can see I've lit up a hell of a lot of this. So the parts that I lit up, you can't really see from over here. If you see that little tunnel just over there, that's where I've dug down from the other side and gone into a couple of areas that were unlit. And from over here there's a few places that need lighting up as well, like the end of that mine shaft bit over there. And there's probably some, in fact I can see there's quite a few caves over in that direction that need doing. So I'm going to be using the X-ray machines now to finish off all of the caving that we need to do. Another thing I've been doing is some enchanting. I've been trying to get some featherfall boots for in the nether for our glowstone kit, and I've been doing that with iron instead of diamonds just because they're disposable and we're in the nether, so there's a high chance of us getting shot at by a ghast or falling into lava. So I've been doing this at level 17, and that's actually the best level for feather falling 3. For some reason I thought that was the best for number 4, but it turns out that it's level 25, so maybe it was in 1.2.5 that around that level was the best. But it's definitely changed. I'm looking at the chart, and 25 to 26 is the best to get feather falling 4 and iron boots. So I'm level 21 at the moment. We should go over to the XP farm, gather a few levels, and then do an enchantment. I'm almost at level 25, and just a moment ago there were loads of mobs coming up through here. And there you go, we got another one. And I think the rates have improved. I was doing some AFK farming down at the end there a moment ago, and it seemed like I got a lot more gunpowder in a lot less time. So I think after we've done that enchantment we should come back over here and do another one of our tests, but I just can't remember, was it an hour or half an hour we'd done this for, so I guess I'll have to go back, watch a previous episode and find out. But I'm pretty sure these rates are going to be a lot better. Okay, I had to get to level 26 because I overlooked how these work. If I put these on here, you'll see that the middle one stays between 10 and 20 either time, because you've got your low level, your mid level, and then your maximum. So I actually have to block a couple of bookshelves to get this to work. Now we should be able to do a level 26 enchantment. There we go. And oh, we didn't get it. Oh well, I'll try again later. But I had an idea. We can make use of the trading post over in the nether, and I'll go and put these over there because I don't want them. I want to get feather falling 4, and maybe I'll ask for 1 iron ingot in return, which is not bad, considering they cost 4 to make and a bit of your time to get the XP for them. I finished doing the test in the AFK stream for the mob drops, and there's something I should point out quickly, which is the server has been getting a lot more active lately. I've noticed people on here more often, sometimes during the day, but you can see no one's logged in, and I'm the only person online, so our test is fine this time round, but I'll have to keep an eye out for that in the future. So we got 3 more arrows, and sorry, we got 3 more bones and 7 more arrows, 3 more rotted flesh and 16 more gunpowder. So overall, a little bit of difference, but not enough really. I felt like I'd done a lot of caving and would have seen a bigger increase than that. Although when I did leave the AFK stream, a load of mobs came down all at once, so if we'd included those would have been a little bit higher. But anyway, the X-ray machine that I built over here, it did look like there was quite a large area over there that hadn't been lit up, and possibly some around here as well. But what I want to do quickly is just rotate that thing around so we can look at it, or look through it to the other direction, because at the moment the pistons block you looking in that direction. Okay, let's do this. Ah, wow, look at that. Okay, I can see a fair bit over there. Sometimes it's a little difficult to tell what you're looking at. Like over here you're seeing the bottom of the ocean, and that kind of distorts what's beyond it as well. So if I wanted to look off in that direction, I'd need to go lower than the floor of the ocean. And we've also got this ravine blocking whatever could be behind there. But we can see from this bit here, there's a big path there, goes all the way up here and across there, and then another one on this side as well. Looks like it could go right over in that direction. And it's a little difficult to see off in the distance, and sometimes I find it hard to distinguish between some black areas like this that have nothing in them, and then dark areas like that where they're very dark. Well, that's enough of that for now. We should continue on with the episode. And if you were wondering about the enchanting I was doing earlier, I said I had a chart that I was looking at. There is a website full of different charts for all the different types of materials you can use, like wooden, diamond, gold, iron. It's got all of that, and it tells you the enchanting probabilities for every type of enchantment you can get and what level to do them at. So if you're interested in that, you want to make you want to get a particular type of enchantment on an item, then that website is going to be useful to you. So there's a link to that in the description box. And we're back over here at the hub, and this is what I'm going to be working on. I just had no idea what to do with this. Nothing really came to mind. I was waiting to read the comments, and there were two really popular suggestions. Quite a few people mentioned similar ideas. Now the first one I didn't really like too much. It was to build a glass sphere or a dome around this, and I'm not really a fan of building those types of big shapes around things. I don't know. So I think the reason why is because it just becomes a shape, and shapes aren't particularly unique until you distort them and change them. So I'd be more interested in something with some architecture to it, something that's, I don't know, got different features and stuff to look at rather than just a shape overall. But the other suggestion was absolutely brilliant. It was to cover all of this in grass and make it into what some people described as like a little hobbit hill, or what was the other one, like a burial mound, I think someone described it as. But in general I think that's just a great idea. It fits in perfectly with this area. We've got nice big open fields, we can just create somewhat of a hill here, and then that means I can also keep the little pathways leading in and out of them. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll start off just by covering the bare minimum with dirt and letting it grow into grass, seeing what it looks like, and then what I'm probably going to do from that point is make it look more natural, so we don't just have this big mound in the middle here. We'll probably especially over this side, just merge it across over to this bit here maybe. I'm not sure how that would look actually. That might not be too great, but yeah, I'm just going to do some more terraforming like we did on the last episode, and then this thing I think is going to look great once it's covered in grass. We'll put down some bone meal as well, so it's covered in long grass and some flowers too. So you can see I've made some progress, but not really. I'm kind of hung up on what to do here. So there's two things I'm thinking about. First of all is maybe I want to make this look like there's actually nothing underneath there, that it's part of the landscape, which is going to be quite difficult to do. And then the other idea, which is what I originally wanted, was this to be quite obvious that there's something there and that it's maybe not 100% natural, but to look good as well. And that's what I've been finding it really difficult to do. So rather than just place the dirt down on top of all of the wood so it's all symmetrical, I decided to start off by trying to make it look more natural. So that's why it's kind of going all over the place around here, but that's been quite difficult to do as well. So I was thinking about making this look like it's more part of the landscape, and the way I would do that is to bring the dirt over the top here and make it meet up with this level field over here, so it would gradually slope down into that, and then over this side as well, I imagine it would as well, so it looks like this field just leads up to a certain point and then it's a bit of a hill and it goes down on the other sides, and then that way it shouldn't look so forced. And that would also mean that this path here would basically go straight underground and we could lead it all the way over here to the animal pens, which are really full up. I need to harvest those soon. And those trees are on fire. Now there was a thunderstorm around here, there's some fire over there as well. That's just a visual, it's not a glitch, but the lightning makes fire, but it's only visual, it's not going to spread, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I'm in two minds about what to do here, so I'm going to play around a little bit more to see if I can make this look more like it's supposed to be there but natural at the same time. Otherwise I think I'm just going to try and make it look like part of the landscape. So I decided to work on the entrance over here for the next bit, and I'm really not too sure how to go about doing this. At the moment you can see I've made the grass come level above the wall. I'm not too sure if I like that. In fact, I'm not really sure what it is I have pictured in my mind. It's kind of hard to translate things sometimes. But what might work here is to actually make the grass level with it on this side, so that you just see sandstone coming up to this level here. And the roof I was going to make out of wood, but then I wanted to end it off short because I didn't want this coming out too far. And the paths I'm going to make out of gravel. Now that's something I might change in the future. It'd obviously match if I were to use wood on this side as well, but I like the idea of having some gravel paths going around the place. And the old texture was a lot better for this, and you know, the new one I don't think is too bad either. Let's see what it looks like next to some grass. I think that would look okay going around the place. The old one would be more preferable though. But anyway, I'm still not too sure about this. I think what I'm going to do next is just remove the dirt off the top here and put it on the side. So the view from up here looks a lot better, and this is the other side of the hill. And I've done something quite different over here. So I've changed the sandstone bit over there so the grass is level with it, apart from that block. There needs to be a grass block there. But it's all correct on that side, you can see. And what we have on this side is different because this bit here hugs the inside, all the wood and stuff that was exposed before. So this is the less natural shape, but at the same time I think this could actually look a lot better overall. So we've got this sort of semicircle going round from one side to the other here. Not a semicircle, sorry, a quarter circle. And I was thinking if we could divide up the top bit and the bottom bit, it would actually look pretty decent, because I've sort of been obsessing over this idea of it needs to look natural, and this is of course Minecraft. It can look like whatever we want it to. So I think what would be best is to find a way to divide the two parts, maybe put a fence around the front down the bottom here, and then perhaps have some long grass and flowers on this bit at the bottom, and then something different going on at the top. So it looks like it's maintained, but it might be natural. I don't know. It just needs to look like something rather than a bit of a mess, which is kind of like what it looks like at the moment. So I'm going to go down there and just tweak this up a bit, and we'll have another look in a moment. Right, I've tidied up a few things. I've just removed some blocks around the edge so that all of them are hugging the wall. For example, those two blocks there are directly above the obsidian, but there are a few more around them earlier. Also put a block there to cover the glowstone, and I've come back here and had a look, and I'm as clueless as I was a few minutes ago as what to do now. And I think sometimes you just gotta put your hand up and say I don't know what to do here. So I'm having a bit of a block with this project, and I think it's best to leave it for another day before we get too carried away. But there is a big project over there that we can start work on, and now that we know where we're going to be putting the XP farm, we can go ahead and build it. And I don't know why that's cobblestone. But yeah, and that's going to be actually quite similar to what we're doing over there, except this time we do want to make everything look natural. We're going to be terraforming, putting down loads of dirt and grass so that we can cover up what we've built over here already. Now what I will be keeping is the valve system. All of that's going to be underground though, and I'm going to be removing the XP farm, and I'm going to have to rebuild that as well. So one thing I should do now is actually turn on the mob spawner. Of course the lever is round the front here now. I'm used to it being round the back. But now no mobs will spawn. We'll let all of them get out of the system, and then we'll start to terraform this. So this is going to be quite simple. We're going to follow the shape of the hill over there, make sure it goes high enough to cover all of this. So I might have to remove that AFK trap, and it's going to come over here and then just naturally slope down into all of this. So it should be quite easy to do. I thought I'd come down here and check that all the mobs have made their way out of the mob trap, and we have a spider spawning in here. Unless he found another way in here, but I can't think of how. Which is just really interesting, because there should be no way, and I've got a silk touch pick here, that this guy should be able to get in here. Or spawn in here at least as well. Ah, I know how. Perhaps this now counts as a full block, so it can spawn right there, and then these blocks around it would allow it to spawn, because it would count that one as a block, which is what the mob AI does, because it allows them to walk off as well. So there's actually a couple of places where this could happen, I think. Now, just looking at this, it wouldn't happen anywhere but in the corner over here where there is that 3 by 3 space, which is 9 blocks. So that means we have to go around and slab the half slab. Put half slabs in the mob spawner just at this place here, and that should remove all of the spawn spaces, which is interesting as well because we found this guy over in this corner, which is right next to where it would have been able to spawn. So we have no use for this anymore because we're going to have to rebuild this, and I was just thinking we're going to have to build this really high up in the sky because we need to be, was it 32 or 40 blocks away from the spawner? I'll go back and double check the numbers. Never seem to remember them too well. But we need to be, as I said, quite a lot of blocks higher up from where the spawner is, which means we might actually be up as high as this, where I am right now, which is quite bizarre. I didn't really think about that when I was doing all of this and figuring it out where the ideal place to stand would be. But if it is up here, it makes me think that maybe we should build a castle or something over here on this side of the island to hide all of this in, because it would look quite strange to just have a platform up here in the sky. But as well as that, we also need to send a load of redstone signals down, because the controls are down there at the bottom for the valves and also the turning the mob spawner on and off as well. So there's going to be a load of redstone that runs up and down here, and in general I'm just thinking that I need to step back and think about what I'm doing here. So at the moment I'm just going to take down this XP farm and do the terraforming and then have a look, and I'm definitely not going to rush into anything because building something up here in the sky I think needs to be done right, because otherwise it'll be an eyesore. So anyway, I've got this silk touch pick and I can breeze through all of this glass now, which is going to be fun. So I've just realised that this may have turned into a much bigger project than I had anticipated. I was just thinking about how we're going to get all the mobs up here if we're going to have the valves down the bottom. So there's like a pro and a con to this, and the pro being mainly aesthetical, that we could have 4 tubes for each of our valves, or maybe even 5 if we let them go all the way to the end, that bring the mobs up to the top, and then we can choose from up here what we're going to do with them. So one of them being an XP farm, maybe in the future I'll build a mob sorter, and then you've got to run the redstone down, which can look cool if you do it right. If you use the right materials and lay it out, it can look pretty decent when it lights up and all of that. But then that's a lot of building different tubes and a lot of wiring going back down to the bottom, which I'm not sure is totally worth it. So the other idea would be to take the original Mobavator, the 2x2, the 4 block one, and bring it all the way up here and then rebuild the valve system. So if we do end up building something up here, what I think I might actually do is put a cloud or something like that. So this can be like a cloud base up in the sky where we've got loads of mob spawners and stuff like that. Or alternatively, I could actually rebuild the UFO that Joe built over there, just put it over here, and instead of having water coming down from it, we can just have the glass around it. But there's lots of ideas to play with, and anyway, I've just set up a simple test here because I thought before we start getting ahead of ourselves, it's a good idea to test the mob spawner now that I'm in the ideal location, or supposedly the ideal location for it to work. So what I'm going to do now is do an AFK test for 30 minutes. So I'm going to go down there, turn on the mob spawner, I'm going to make my way back up to the top here and then wait for 30 minutes. We'll see how many drops we get out of this simple drowner trap, which I've just realised is wrong because the drops would fall straight down. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to modify this and then we're going to do a test and see how many drops we get. Well, I'll tell you what, today has just been one of those days. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. What seems like minutes to you is hours for me. That hill over there just took so much time. I don't know why, it just managed to take a lot of time because I wasn't happy with it. Kept moving the dirt blocks around and stuff. But this bit up here, I mean, this is just a few minutes for you, but this has been hours for me, and boy, this has been a nightmare. Trying to get this trap built right. I built it wrong, and then I rebuilt it and I realised that was wrong, so I rebuilt it again, and I've only finally just finished building the right trap now. But in between all of that, I've had creepers blow up in here, I've had just about everything go wrong. I haven't fallen off of this, which is probably the most likely thing to happen. But then the last thing I just done was place the water one block over here so it'd flow into that bit, and then that pushes the mobs into the drowner trap. Now when I did this, I tried to be clever, and that's never a good idea on a server. I placed the water bucket there and then quickly placed the dirt block here. But it didn't catch it in time, and the water flew all across the edges and it wiped out all of the redstone. And look at this coming down, this is kind of scary. But yeah, it knocked out all of the redstone, and that turned on the mob spawner again, and it wiped out all of this. But what's really annoying is that it went all the way over to this corner. So if you've seen this before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it flowed down to the end here and went all the way down to the bottom, knocking out all of those torches, which was just a nightmare to replace. But I finished doing that, and now Generic B's online, and more people will start coming online soon because I've run out of time to really work on this. Oh, fell down. While I don't think I have sound on either. Yeah, I turned that off. So yeah, I don't really have time to work on this project anymore, and I feel really bad at the moment because it feels like we've done so little so far, and I'm looking at the episode time and we're well into 20 minutes, and I feel like I haven't really done too much, and I can't really do too much more on this either. But here's one thing, for the amount of drops that I did get from it when I was testing it and trying to get the thing set up correctly, I did feel like maybe this wasn't the best position to put it. And I also had the other idea that if I'd have left the farm how it was and thought of testing this beforehand, it might have not been a bad idea to build a staircase up to the top and just stand up there when I want to gather mobs. Alternatively, having an AFK trap up there, or if I want to gather a lot of mobs for XP, I go up, stand up there first of all, let them all gather and then come back down. So there are lots of alternative ideas to this, and at least I guess the amount of time it's taking me is giving me time to think about this. But there's going to be one last thing we're going to do over here, because I can't really do any more testing on this, and that's do the terraforming, because that's going to happen anyway. So when you next see this place, it's all going to be covered over, and it's going to look like a normal hill with a tube sticking out of it. So minus the tube, I'd say that's a pretty natural looking hill. I'm pleased with how that turned out. I may have gone a little bit overboard with the long grass, but one thing I did do is remove a lot of the flowers, so it looks like the rest of the place. Not too many flowers. Noticeably no red flowers, there's only yellow ones around here. I think they don't spawn as often naturally. But I have some bad news as well, and that's that the login servers went down, and I have to be careful doing this because often I get this strange error where I bob up and down, there it is, and sometimes I have to relog because of it. But yes, the login servers went down for a couple of hours, and that's like key playing time for me. And I only have so much time to record these episodes within, and yeah, then I have to move on and record something else. So this episode, to me, or at least in my eyes, didn't really turn out how I would like it to, and I'm sorry if it didn't meet your expectations, because what have we done this episode? We've built 2 dirt hills, and that's it really. We talked a bit as well, so hopefully we've done, you know, something productive there. But at the moment I'm the only person on the server, so I have a window of opportunity to do the test on this and then finally find out if this is worth it or not. And I think if it turns out that this is better up here, I might go back to the old system and just create a ladder up to this bit, so I can AFK farm up the top here to get the best rates, and also stand up here to get the best amount of mobs for the XP farm as well, because down there on the surface they won't despawn because I'm within range of them. So I'm going to do this test and then we're going to wrap things up after that. So another disappointment. There's still something wrong with this mob trap. I could almost swear I built everything correctly, but some drops are just catching there, and I've just noticed this after Cilantro logged on. He logged on, I realised that I'd have to stop the test, and I was just looking at the amount of drops that I had so far, and I thought, even for a shorter test, if we were to just figure out, because I'd done about 20 minutes, if we were to add half of what we have there onto it, it would be still a lot less than what we were getting when we were standing down below. But then I noticed there are some drops there, so I'm just going to have to wait for this to find another bit of time, in the future to do some proper tests, because everything has been going wrong this episode. But anyway, I'm sure there's something else that I've forgotten about that I wanted to do, so I'm just going to take a moment to think. So there was something that I forgot to do, and that's put my items for trade in the chest, and I actually made the trip down here without my items. I focused too much on getting the book ready, but I've just finished writing it. It's a shame you can't actually edit this once you've written in it, but there you go. Prices, iron boots with feather falling free. I thought I'd ask for 2 iron ingots, since they're a lot more useful than these iron boots with protection free, so 1 iron ingot for that. Let's put these in the chest. And I was thinking that perhaps if I'm online at the same time, someone can always talk to me and offer me something different, and just leave them in the chest if they're already here, which is pretty cool. But anyway, we should head back now. So that is all we have time for this episode. Unfortunately, today has just been one of those days, but thankful enough we don't have too many of them here on the Hermitcraft server. Lighting glitches. Yes, but there's a note on my notepad, so one last thing I want to talk about. You guys have made me aware that having fire aspect on a looting sword isn't a bad thing. The looting actually cancels out the fire aspect when it cooks the drops, so the sharpness could possibly kill it on that sword, but let's imagine that it didn't and we hit a cow with it. Then it would run around on fire, the fire would kill it, but it wouldn't cook the drops when it dropped them, and you'd still get all the extra ones from the looting. So now the best sword to get, I think, is that one with fire aspect 1 or 2 on it. So that'll be a target sword to get in the future. But anyway, thank you for watching, and the next episode is the 50th, so I'm going to make that one a special one for you guys. I don't normally do specials. I don't think I've even done any form of special video. The only one I can think of is the last episode of xisumavoid, which was 47 minutes long, and that was a nightmare to put together because Windows Media Player kept rejecting all my video files, and I've got a horrible feeling that might happen on the next episode as well, because I wanted to make that one 50 minutes long. So hopefully nothing will go wrong like it did today on that one. But thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.